Hello, welcome to an oxygen not included tutorial. This is regarding SPOM, otherwise known as self-powered oxygen manufacturing. Just to give you a quick example, this is a SPOM. It takes water and turns it into oxygen without any power usage whatsoever. This is typically the one I would use on my larger colonies, and as you can see, it looks fantastically complicated and confusing. However, this here is also SPOM. Again, smaller, looks confusing, and this is a basic SPOM. The good thing about it is they all use the same basic principle, which means you can learn the basic idea behind it and then build on it to start with this one here, and eventually you'll be building things like this. So let's break down the basics to begin with. So this is water. Anywhere on your colony, it doesn't matter. I've just put a little thing here to simulate your water supply. And you have a pump there, which is pumping water across into this electrolyzer here. All an electrolyzer does is take water and turn it into hydrogen and oxygen. Nice and simple. In Oni, hydrogen always goes up, and oxygen will be pushed down because it's heavier. We use that property to make the SPOM itself. That is the purpose behind this mesh tiles and this manual airlock. As you look at the SPOM, the hydrogen will go up over this sensor and into this pump. The oxygen will be pushed down into here. That's how you separate the two, the only reason whatsoever. If I show you the ventilation, as you can see, I've got nothing but oxygen coming out of here and nothing but hydrogen coming out of here. That leads to the self-powering part of SPOM. This is a hydrogen generator. It just uses hydrogen and makes power with no polluted water, nothing to worry about. One hydrogen generator can power all of this. So all we have to do with this setup, hydrogen goes up and it will hit this atmos sensor. This is set for above 250 grams. So that pump will only turn on when there is 250 grams of hydrogen up here. That's to prevent any oxygen being accidentally forced up into the mix, because if you put oxygen in that generator, it will damage it. The generator itself is linked via ventilation. It leaves this pump and goes into this insulated gas bridge. The reason for that is because the game will prioritize the gas bridge. So all the hydrogen, as you can see, is being pumped over to this side to be stored. Any excess is then taken up here and you can vent it out. You could store it in containers. You can do anything with it, really. It doesn't matter. If I speed it up, eventually, when this fills up, there we go. As soon as that is full, hydrogen will then be diverted up here to be taken to wherever you want to go. There you go. Off it goes, hydrogen. This makes it a self-regulating system. The hydrogen will be pumped in. You will always have a supply here to keep the system going. Any excess is taken away. That's what this smart battery is for. It is hooked up to the main power system, and as I said earlier, everything, absolutely everything, is all linked up to that one system. It takes 840 watts to run everything on this thing. It's easy. So this smart battery is linked to this hydrogen generator just via a basic automation wire. Its job, when the battery is 100% full, the generator is shut down. This will obviously drain the battery, powering up the system. Slow it down for you so it makes a bit more sense. As you can see, hydrogen generator is active. As soon as that hit 100%, it's shut down. When that power hits 10 kilojoules, it will turn the generator back on, and there you go. Battery goes back up. Once it hits 20, it shuts down the generator again. That's how you store hydrogen, because without that system, that generator will run forever. It will basically burn through all the hydrogen this thing produces, and you will have no backup in here to reset the system in the event that there's a shutdown for whatever reason due to oxygen pressure coming out of here, for example. The one drawback to this relatively simple system is that when that is full, oxygen will start to build up in here, unfortunately. It will eventually flood this entire room, start being pulled into your generator, and it will break it. So, provided you've always got a place for the oxygen to go, this will run forever. If, however, it becomes overpressurized, if, for example, I delete that there. So, say that this room is now full of oxygen and it can't vent it anymore. As I show, if I speed it up a bit for you and show you, there you go. It's now shut down. Max gas pressure on the electrolyzer. That's been disabled by the automation grid because there isn't enough pressure. It's complete lockdown. So you have to keep the oxygen flowing. Fortunately, with such a small electrolyzer, it won't be that big of a deal, to be honest with you. However, as soon as you can pump again, like so, because you've got that hydrogen left, it'll restart the system, and away it goes quite happily, producing oxygen again. That is the basic idea behind a SPOM. So before we go to the more advanced ones, I will build one of these from scratch to show you how everything links together. So let's clear ourselves a lovely little space over here, shall we? Okay, that's messy. I don't like it. We'll do it that way. There we go. You go away. So, building a basic SPOM. Very simple to do. You always start at the bottom left-hand corner, at least that's how I do it, because then I can just add the pieces as I go. You've always got one manual airlock there, another gap, one manual airlock there. Airflow tiles go here to allow the oxygen to go down and be pumped up. Another manual airlock here for the hydrogen to go up and over it to that pump. Then you flush it out. All you need is space for your pumps, remember? So, if you just link it up, and as long as you've got a space of 4 and a space of 4, done. That's all you need. Because now, you can put your pipes in, if I find them. There they are. One for the hydrogen, one for the oxygen. Electrolyzer, nice and easy. There's only one space it can go now. Once that's all in place, you can start putting your water in. Now note this, I use insulated piping, except for those two spots I use a radiant pipe. The reason why I do that, because as the water goes in, it will cool the pumps for you before it is eaten by the electrolyzer. That makes sure this thing doesn't overheat with time. Ventilation, simple, down, oxygen, across, for hydrogen. And of course you have to vent it. Now for the power section. Again, you've already got a fairly obvious where everything goes. You got a hydrogen generator. And you've got a smart battery. Done. Ventilation. So remember this build here. Oh, let's change that, shall we? Because I bumped that up a bit. There we go. There we go, we'll pretend that didn't happen, so don't worry about that. Now, remember, it comes out of here, into there, and then from there, it goes into the generators. Again, I use radiant gas piping here, because the hydrogen will cool down this section. That means the whole thing is now temperature regulated. You don't have to worry about it. And again, excess hydrogen can be vented up here. Automation. There is only 2 automation settings on this. There's the one up here, if you remember. That controls the level of hydrogen, turning that pump on. So we set that to only turn that pump on if the pressure is above 250. Automation on the power side, even easier. It controls the hydrogen generator, 150. There you go. You can play around with these if you like. They're not set in stone. They're just the best pressures I've found worked for keeping this system going. Power. Because it's all connected, it's just a single circuit of conductive wiring. Done. And out to power the water pump that will actually pump the water into it. Which I will now put in here. I'll just create some water. You've got your gas pump, liquid pump, sorry, right there. Pumping in. And you've got power. Now, you will have to start this system. So, currently, there's no hydrogen, there's no power, it is dead in the water. So, what you could do is just run a cable off there, put a manual generator in there, and your dupes can just run that off the manual generator, and then once it's got hydrogen, you can just deactivate that and it's done. It's now self-powered. I'm going to cheat and use a dev generator. So, let me put that in. There you go. It is now powered. Now, here's the water. Goes up into the electrolyzer. And if I show you the oxygen layout, it's all over the place, of course. However, eventually it will settle down. And the gas overlay, there you go. Perfect. Oxygen at the bottom, hydrogen at the top. You've already got hydrogen going in to your hydrogen generator, not a problem. You no longer need that. It is now self-powered. As I turn it on, there you go. And now it is the exact same SPOM I just showed you there. There you go. Exact same. Okay, onto a bit more of an advanced thing. This is basically that one times 2. Oh, hello. I have overheat damage. Huh. Oh, of course. Apologies. Give me 1 second. I'll explain all this in a minute. There you go. That's better. Right, so this is that times 2, essentially. As you look at it, you can actually see the basic elements. You've got your pumps down here. They are pumping out oxygen. Above that, you've got your hydrogen pump pumping out your hydrogen. Everything else is the same as the other system. So you've got your 2 electrolyzers there and there. Oxygen is forced down, hydrogen is forced up. These doors make sure that the hydrogen stays up here, out of the way, and the oxygen stays down here. Other than that, it is the exact same. So, your water comes in, you use it to cool your pumps into the electrolyzer. So all it's doing now is feeding the electrolyzers. The electrolyzers produce hydrogen and oxygen. These sensors here, as you can see, there's 2 of them. This one controls those 2. This one controls those 2. So that will only turn those pumps on. Where's my automation overlay? I'll cheat. There you go. There's my automation overlay. So that one controls those 2. That one controls those 2. And that one controls the big pump. That will only turn those 2 pumps on when the pressure is above 450. That one is identical. That one will only turn on when the pressure is above 250. Again, these are just the optimal settings I've found worked. So, if we look at the ventilation overlay, we have exactly the same as the other one. We have hydrogen coming up here, feeding into the hydrogen generators. Any excess is sent off to be vented to wherever you want it to go. And you have the oxygen out there. The advantage of this design is that it produces twice as much as this one. This will literally flow over an entire colony. It makes a lot, as you can see. Look at all that oxygen being produced there. The only downside is it does require 2 hydrogen generators, but the power is still the same. You can run it off 1 cable. As you can see, I have the smart battery. It does exactly the same as that does it over there. When the battery is full, it turns off the jennies. When it hits 50%, it turns them back on again. I'll give you a minute to have a look at that, just so you can line it up. Okay, this is the beauty of SPOM. It is very flexible. I mean, these are just the designs I came up with. I've seen dozens of different designs for SPOM, so that's not an issue. Now, regarding the overheat issue, as you may have noticed, my hydrogen generators were overheating. I do have radiant gas pipe here to cool it down with the hydrogen being pumped out. However, because there's two generators, you have to put temp shift plates behind them. That helps the heat be dispersed, basically. A temp shift plate will speed up heat dispersal. So it cools it down quicker because there's temp shift plate back there. Because I didn't put it there, it overheated. That moves us on to the very last one. This monstrosity here. This is what I use to power my entire colony endgame only. This thing will feed 30 duplicates without breaking a sweat. And you can see why. I mean, yeah. Again, look at it as you would look at the first SPOM. It is still essentially the same. There's your air pumps. They make air go down. There's your hydrogen pump, making hydrogen go up. Everything else is the exact same. The sensors are the same. I've just doubled everything. So I have 4 electrolyzers. I have 6 oxygen pumps, which allows me to do this. Do you notice how these 2 pumps are linked together? Each individual gas pump pumps 500 grams, but gas pipes can hold 1,000. So if you link 2 pumps together, you get the most use out of your pipes. You get 1,000 grams of oxygen all the way through. This allows 3 outputs, which you can put anywhere on your base. It does not matter. Hydrogen, again, you only need 1. You've got the usual radiant piping, only this time it's cooling down 4 hydrogen generators. The only real difference to this one, to the basic SPOM, is the power. This cannot be run off 1 circuit. It would overload, unfortunately. You have to have 2. So, all you do is link all your generators, your battery, and 2 power transformers, all using heavy watt wire, which won't overload. Then you have 1 circuit on this side, as you can see, coming from the output, and you have 1 circuit from this side. All you've done is have 2 circuits for this section. That is it. That's the only major difference. Again, this will run for as long as you need oxygen for. As soon as it starts to backfill, that's when it becomes troublesome. I do advise you to have a play with this. For example, say that gets filled and no longer the room's full of oxygen, there's nowhere to do. Well, you could simply do this. You could have a gas shutoff, for example, which is what I use for a lot of my emergency things. If I put a gas shutoff here, put it in there, and I don't know, vent it into space, say this is now space. There you go. But I set an atmo sensor in the room I was actually filling, and connect it to that, and pull some power down from here quickly. Tell you what, let's do the easy way. There you go. There you go. And I set that to only turn on when the pressure in that room goes above 1,300 grams, say. That means when the pressure here is over 1,300, there you go, it will now be vented out into space. You've just created a pressure relief valve. It will keep the pressure here at 1,300 grams, or whatever you set that sensor to. So that is the basics of SPOM. We start with this simple idea, we build on it, and we build on it, and I could probably build on this. I could add fail safes, I could add backups and power shortcuts. It's a very flexible design that encourages people to tinker. However, if all you need to do is provide oxygen for your little duplicants, this simple mechanism will do the job. Hopefully that clears up any questions you might have. Anything else, feel free to let me know, and thank you for listening.